All right. Well, that's the first time actually we didn't stream last time. It's preparing, setting up your meeting for YouTube Live.
Great. Okay.
Redirect. All right. So.
We are live then. Good morning, everybody. We're going to jump right into the IDA meeting. The first item on the agenda is the public hearing for the Fitzgerald Oz LLC.
Wait a minute. Am I on YouTube? Okay. Okay, I'm good. I'm sorry.
You're fine. All right. Yep. So this is the Troy IDA meeting. Today is November 20th, 2020. The first item on the agenda is the public hearing for the Fitzgerald Oz LLC. I'd like to open the public hearing for this item. Justin Miller, you have the floor.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Just to open up the public hearing, the IDA previously received an application from Fitzgerald OZ LLC to undertake a project that's briefly described as the redevelopment of 500 River Street in the city of Troy, along with the 3-story and approximately 76,000 square foot storage facility that's on that site that currently includes 292 non-climate controlled storage units. The project will involve the redevelopment of that space to establish 623 Class A climate controlled storage units, along with related upgrades, including elevators, roofs, fire protection systems, windows, and the like. The IDA application and the assistance being considered involves sales and use tax exemptions, mortgage recording tax exemptions, and a pilot agreement, the terms of which Steve has provided in your package in the form of cost benefit analysis. We can discuss a little bit more on the particular of the pilot if there's any questions from the public or from the board. The IDA technically is serving as lead agency for seeker purposes here. This project didn't trigger any local site plan approvals or local reviews. So the IDA's leaseback transaction requires us just to look quickly at seeker, and we have a negative declaration prepared as part of the resolution in the regular agenda today. So if there's any questions that the public may have or any comments to be provided, or if there's any board questions, I'll turn it back to Justin N, not M, to field any questions or comments.
Thanks, Justin. We have a few extra people on here, so if just bear with us. If a few people start talking at once, I'll call on you if you have any questions. So as Justin said, is there any additional questions regarding this Fitzgerald Oz LLC item from the public or the board?
Yeah, I got one. The sales tax savings, is it 441, 502, or is it 192?
Prefer that to Justin Miller again, or Steve.
Sales tax, I got, okay, so on a cost benefit, it's 441, 502. Nate, do you have that on your application? I'm sorry, did I copy in a wrong number there?
I'm pulling it up myself too.
I saw something in the documents you sent us about 192. That's what I'm getting the number from.
Let's see.
I figure it's easier to let you find it, Nate, than me go through
Yeah,
juggle
bear
my
with
20
me as I
screens
scroll
here.
through. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm checking the application as well, just to see if we can marry up the numbers.
So I'm gonna just, I don't see that we have anybody from the public on, on here that's gonna speak. Does anybody, I'll just ask. I mean, we can talk about, we can get that number and then come back to it because this is a resolution to act on item number 3. So while we're looking for that, if you want, Justin,
Yep.
maybe ask if there's any other, but I don't see that there is.
Yeah, I don't see if there's any other questions either from the public. So with that being said, do we have a motion to close the public hearing on Fitzgerald Oz LLC?
Motion.
Jim motions. Do we have a second?
I'll second, Sue.
Sue? All in favor? Just raise your
Aye.
hand. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Great. The public hearing is closed.
Just
I
this
think it's
is,
in my supplement and I can't find it in my outbox.
Yeah. I've just located it, Nate, and you had a number of 2,352,10 for purchases and a corresponding request for sales and use tax exemption amounts of 188,160. For purposes of the resolution, I rounded it to 2.4 million and the corresponding 192,000 to provide a little bit of contingency room and frankly provide a round number.
That makes sense.
So I embedded that in the resolution, and Steve's cost benefit analysis can be adjusted for the final records of the agency to show that 192 in the CBA.
Albert, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Then we will move on to item number 2 on the agenda.
And I'm gonna,
Yeah.
okay. I was just gonna state, Josh Chapone's name was spelled correctly and incorrectly on the minutes, so on the motions for both the IDA and the CRC, we left out the H. So we will correct that on the minutes.
Great. And that's for the October 16th.
IDA October 23rd board meeting, right?
I'm showing here is the October 16th. Am I missing something?
I don't know, it's for the, it was an October 23rd meeting. So I may have, I don't know, I've got October 23rd on my agenda, the one I sent you, because I sent you a backup piece, might have the wrong date, but it's an October 23rd meeting.
I'll just note that I'm going to abstain from that vote. I think you still have plenty of people.
So,
That is the October 23rd. My apologies. Okay. So moving on to item number 2, with the correction to the name of Josh, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 23rd meeting?
You can make the motion.
Motion.
So Anasha made the motion.
No, I'm abstaining. Abstaining.
Okay.
Sorry.
Motion.
All right. So Jim with a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Stephanie.
Stephanie. Anyone abstain besides Anasha? All in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay. All right. Moving on to item number 3 then. The resolution for the Fitzgerald Oz LLC. Steve, do you want to take the mic?
yeah, so I reviewed this. I think you can see the cost benefit there. So obviously we need to correct the estimated sales tax. I think this is a project we've been waiting to see some things happen over here for quite some time. It's great to see the demolition of that church that's been done, which is actually going to be phase 2 of this proposal. But currently before us is the renovation of the existing building. So I reviewed the information. Actually, I had Albert on there reviewing it with me as well. This project really does not create any additional services for any of the school districts or for the city. It's a really good reuse of a building in an area that, you know, could really use some fixing up. And so what we have here is a 4-year pilot at 100% exemption. And then in year 5, it goes to 75% of exemption on the increase. This will probably be assessed when done at around, at least right now, the estimate is about $6 million or $7 million. So that'll generate for the city in 5 years, or not for the city, but all combined taxing authorities, around $280,000 to $300,000 a year. And right now the building's paying 56. There's a lot of expenses involved with this, with the historic renovation that they're doing. And obviously they're getting historic tax credits as well, but it raises the cost of the project up. And the cash flow was negative for the first 3 years. And so after review, that's why I'm recommending this pilot structure. Nate, do you want to speak at all?
Only if you want me to, but you really summarized it well. When we looked at this, there were a lot of different uses we could have programmed in. But like Steve is saying, it fit well into the master plan better as storage. It doesn't overtax the parking, which is a commodity in downtown Troy, as we all know. It is a good use of the building itself because it has some warehouse characteristics. It makes a lot of sense to keep it storage. And just to add, we have the existing customers out of that 200 plus unit count that Justin talked about. There's 169 of those old units that are still active that we're keeping, that we also want to maintain through the project and not kick them out. We're working around them through this renovation to let them stay in as customers. And a lot of those customers are local residents within this neighborhood of Troy. So I don't want to be exclusionary. We're trying to be a facility that everyone can use. I mean, it has a wide range of projected users that we've kind of developed our pro formas for and tried to market to, but I think it's a good puzzle piece to fit in our master plan that we've been working on with the city for now almost 16 years, and we hope to continue that good partnership we've had with the city for another 16 years, hopefully more than that.
Okay. And again, they provided a seeker. I've done the part 2. There's no environmental impact from this project. So upon adoption of the resolution, I'll complete the page 3 of that and put it in the files. Let's see. And I guess that's it. So Justin, I go back to you, I guess, for the motion.
Are there any other further discussions or questions regarding this? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the resolution for the Fitzgerald Oz LLC project?
I'll make the motion, Sue.
Sue, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Jim? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let me just check if anyone's raising their hand. Any opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? Great. The resolution passes then.
Great.
Thanks, Nate. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 4 on the agenda is the King's Landing project.
Okay, so I'll introduce this. This is a $16 million project. It's phase 2 of King's Landing 2. Obviously, everybody's seen King's Landing 1, which is a very nice looking building right as you come into the city at the Green Island Bridge. This is a $16 million project. It's still going through the Planning Commission approval process. It's been, we anticipate that to be done next month before our next meeting. This creates 8 jobs, 5 in the 2,100 square foot retail space, and 3 associated with the 59 market rate apartments that this will create. There will be 58 covered parking spaces, and as part of this project, the local development corporation owns a piece of land on Federal Street that at the next meeting, they will be authorizing the transfer of that to the developer. And as part of that, there will be a requirement that the developer will improve a city-owned parcel of land on the corner of Fifth and Jacob Street. So right now, it's kind of just a wasteland with some parking. This will pave it and add, I think it's about 40, approximately 40, don't hold me to that number, new parking spaces there. So that will be done in time to come online with this project as well. And it starts fitting up in about 18 to 24 months. Let's see. I think that's pretty much what I have on that. We have Cosmo Marfione on the line if you want to have him speak to the project.
So Steve, I thank you for the introduction. We have a little presentation that if it's possible, can I share my screen? And
Sure.
While you're doing that, I have also with me David Smith from Planning Development Advisors, who helped us with our economic benefit study and impact study, and also John Lapper, our counsel.
I think you can just share the screen from I don't think I have to let you in.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. Let me see if I could. Okay. So just, this is an introductory meeting to the project, like Steve said. What I would like to do today is just give you some project highlights and then turn it over to David, who will go through what we did is we perused the in-depth comprehensive plan and then made sure that we were complying with the objectives and goals on that plan. And David has prepared an economic impact evaluation in form of a report, which was submitted as part of our application. And then I'll go through a summary of the projects at the end. As Steve said, the project is located at the northeast corner of New Federal Street and Fifth Ave in the B4 Central Commercial Zoning District. We're proposing 59 residential apartment units. Right now, the unit mix, which I think we're 99.9% there, is 43 2-bedrooms and 16 3-bedrooms. 58 indoor parking spaces with comprised of 2 parking decks, one that at the same elevation as Fifth Ave, and then the other one a little bit further down than the elevation on Laundry Place. We were also able to install 5 outdoor parking spaces on Laundry Place. We really wanted to activate the retail or the sidewalk rather on New Federal Street in concert with some of the city studies and goals. We've also, like Steve said, we heard our neighbors, complained a lot about parking, and what we've done is we were able to, even though we don't own the parcel at the corner of Jacob and Fifth, we're able to contribute to the not redevelopment, but the taking that abandoned parcel, a very rugged parcel, and improve it with approximately 38 parking spots, which will include, as you can see in the next plan here. Let's see here. I just want to minimize. Oops. So, so essentially, this is the project. This is our first project right over here. If you see my mouse, my pointer. And the second project is like I said, in the corner here of Fifth and Jacob. And we're also going to improve this lot here to include around 38 parking spots, new sidewalk, some new greenery, new landscaping, some lighting, and this will be for the use of the community. this is our project, just to further zoom in on our project. Very important to us to leave a big grassy area in the front here by the retail so that we could later activate it during the better weather with some tables and benches and things of that nature, which would supplement what the retail's doing. We still don't know if it's a retail or a restaurant, but we think that'll benefit both either retail space or restaurant space having this area in front here. Sidewalks quite large, 5 to 10 feet sidewalks in the front. Okay. Just a little, how the building looks. This is from Federal Street, the top here. This is our first project. This is the second project, a little different architecture, but still complementary. The retail will be in this bottom piece over here. And then as it turns the corner, we've changed some of the articulation in the architecture to better reflect what's on Fifth Ave. And then this is just around the building in the alley. This is the entrance here for the secondary level down below. And this is, we decided to put a green screen so that from the church, you'll be able to see some more greenery. With that, I'll give you to David Smith, who will go over the Troy Comprehensive Plan and some of the economic impacts that he's developed.
Great, thank you, Cosmo. Unfortunately, we're not socially distanced here in White Plains, so it's just moving the camera over. Good morning. For the record, David Smith, Principal of Planning and Development Advisors. I'm just going to quickly summarize the report that was submitted to the IDA dated October 12th, 2020. We've assisted BDC with an evaluation of their proposed project with respect to its relationship to downtown. And particularly, as Cosmo noted, the project's located less than a quarter of a mile from your historic downtown core. So that's particularly important because it's in keeping with smart growth policies where you want to foster development in downtown settings with a mix of uses. You're directing development with the existing infrastructures to support it. You're creating a range of housing opportunities. You're fostering distinctive and attractive places that have a strong sense of place, and you're creating walkable neighborhoods. So with that, we've evaluated the recently adopted Troy Comprehensive Plan, and I think that some of the components and goals that we've outlined, that the commercial core lacks a critical mass of residents. So part of the redevelopment effort here is to reintroduce a residential component that's within walking distance to the historic core, promoting the city center as a key area for residential growth, capitalizing on the historic value of downtown. So again, there are a number of goals and objectives within the comprehensive plan. We feel that this plan directly addresses with respect to redevelopment, bringing in new residents. It's not a formal planning term, but it's one that I always like to use. I call it wallets within walking distance. So you're introducing new households that are within walking distance of commercial activities, and that helps provide for a more 24/7 and enhanced vitality within your commercial corridor. And I think that's part of one of the exclusive goals of your comprehensive plan is to help support downtown, its residents and its merchants. So very quickly, we've prepared an evaluation. I think Cosmo had summarized it for the construction process, and this is based on his experience for phase one, that you could expect between 50 to 75 construction jobs during the length of the construction process. And then once the project is completed, you'll have approximately 8 full-time jobs split between the retail and supporting the residential community. And one of the things that we like to do when I mention having these kind of the households within convenient walking distance of the commercial base within downtown is to evaluate the households, and each household brings with it some level of discretionary spending that they'll spend within the greater Troy community. They won't spend all of it necessarily within downtown, but there's certainly some portion that gets spent. And we've prepared this evaluation, which shows that you'll have, based on an occupancy of approximately 95%, which is essentially full occupancy for a residential rental product, that those households will bring with it discretionary spending, purchasing power of approximately $1.5 million annually. So some portion of that is going to be spent within downtown Troy for going out to eat, getting your nails done. I need something from the convenience store. I need something from the pharmacy. I need to get my hair done. I need to go to the barber. So again, there's a positive benefit to reintroducing a residential component like what's being proposed into a downtown setting. Again, this is phase one was a $13.5 million investment within the community. Cosmo is projecting that phase two will be another 16 million. So you're totaling almost $30 million of investment within the community by 2022. And so that summarizes our presentation, our submission to the city. I'm going to turn it back over to Cosmo to provide a summary of the project benefits and to wrap up and answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, so as we said, we're asking for a pilot term, which Steve and I still have to go through the particulars, and we will by the next meeting. We believe our commitment benefits, again, to highlight a commitment of 16+ million more in the next 2 years, new tax payments, for the next 25 years and beyond, enhancement of the city of Troy's existing housing stock, which is very exciting that we're able to contribute to that, and we have been contributing to that. David talked about the enhancing vitality and creating more of a 24/7 atmosphere downtown. Activating the new Federal Street with retail and restaurant, very important to us. The creation of 50 to 75 new construction jobs, 8 full-time jobs between the retail and our management of the building. David highlighted an injection of $1.5 million in new discretionary spending within the Troy community, part of which will be in the downtown. And anticipated also, which he didn't highlight, but we anticipated some 50 to 75,000 of building department fees to Troy, and finally, huge benefit for the parking, which is there's no parking required in the zoning, in the current zoning code, but in addition to the 63 we're providing, which most likely will be used by our building residents and the retailers. An additional 38 spots being contemplated at the corner of Jacob and Fifth. And with that, I'll answer, my team here is to answer any questions. Thank you again for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you, Cosmo. Does anyone have any questions for Cosmo and the Kings Landing 2 project right now?
Chair?
Yes, Jim?
Cosmo, what would your plan B be? I see some aggressive rental numbers there, and I know you're predicting 95% occupancy, but what happens if you're not attaining that number? I mean, I can never afford those apartments, I can tell you that. So my question is, if you don't get that capacity, what happens next? What's your plan B?
Sure. So right off the bat, our pricing is a lot more competitive than the new stock that's coming out there with similar projects. So we feel good about that. We also feel good about the market, because what we do is we attract different, we try to attract different segments. We're attracting the professionals. We're currently working on a deal with Regeneron for some of their professionals to come down to the city, some of the new startups that are there, and the students. We try to target multiple audiences. I know some of you folks, and I'm going to bring it up because I know what you're thinking, that phase one went totally to students, but that was basic. That was not true. We have students, and we have young professionals who are working in renting from us. So I think unlike some of our other competition, what we do is we not only provide and this might sound cliche, but we don't also only provide a place where somebody lives, but also a community. We've hired a national firm to come in and manage our property, and it costs a little bit more, but these folks, they just do a great job engaging the residents in different programs. The other thing that we've done is with this COVID, we really took a look at our design, and we partnered with a company called Phenomenal Air, and we're installing these plasma generators in every apartment, which essentially ionizes. And I apologize for getting so technical, but what it does, it takes all the particles, it fattens them up, and with our filters, we'll be able to catch them. So we're confident that once this COVID is behind us, Troy is still a very attractive place to live. Our feasibility studies show that there is still a demand for good housing stock, and our amenities are great. They're not as nice as across the street there, across the river. We're not having fancy pools and things of that nature. So we're able to provide a good quality product, and we try to stay a little bit below the market on the new housing standpoint. Okay.
Thank you. Well, you can always put that pool up in a roof. Remember that.
Yeah.
I'm just, like I said, I love the project. I think we need to engage more of these type of market rate projects in the city. But with doing that, I just want to make sure they can be successful. And I just thought that the rent numbers were, for a person like me, and I'm not a professional. I'm 63. I'm done. I'm ready to go. But for people that are coming in, I can understand that. I'm just making sure that you have a plan so that there's no failure there if you don't reach that 95% occupancy.
Yeah, we do. And also by inviting young professionals to come in and providing a price structure where folks could rent the entire apartment or rent individual beds, long term. I think that's also a good way to market and how we differentiate ourselves from the rest of the new projects downtown. And constantly working with the folks like Regeneron and some of the startups and just the young professionals who just want to be downtown, want to be they want to still be part of college and technology and new venture. It's exciting,
Yeah, I know it is, and I applaud you. I have one other question.
Sure.
When you lease out bedrooms to students, Do you do that just on a basis of when they're in their educational programs, or do they do it on a yearly basis where they're inundated into that bedroom for the year and we don't have to worry about them moving and, shuttling around people?
No, our lease structure is 6 months or 12 months. In fact, there's a penalty if you do 6 months. You pay a little extra. So most have been try to do the 12 months. And also, it's not only students. We've had a few young professionals who've decided that they want to go that route. Folks that been in the area for a couple of years, who can't want to live in a nice place but can't afford a full apartment, can't afford to furnish it, and gotten together with a workmate and decided to rent a place. So we discourage the short term. Let's just put it that way.
That's good to hear. Thank you for your answers. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Anash, you unmiked yourself, unmuted yourself. Do you have any questions?
Did. I guess the first question was, it's a 2-floor parking garage. Is that correct?
It is.
And you use the existing grade to ramp it. I was wondering sort of what the 20-year plan there is when parking is less relevant. Are you building the ceilings such that it could be retrofitted into a commercial space in the future?
That's a great question. I know the first floor for certain. I haven't really studied the floor below. The first floor structure, the ceiling is the same as the retail throughout. But so I could tell you that first floor could be converted. Second, the bottom one, I'm not sure.
It's probably more likely that it would only be half the parking that you'd
Right.
eventually need to get
Most
rid of
likely. Most likely, right.
And that makes sense. That being said, for now, certainly I have heard lots of concerns about parking on site. I'll talk to Steve offline about this. Long term, I don't really want to see Jacob Street as a parking lot, although for the short term, I think it'll help. I do want to see a road diet on Federal, including significant which could include parking all along Federal between River and 6th.
Yeah, we agree with that. We figured that if you could provide, we saw some of the sketches, some of the sketches that the city has engaged, I believe, Chazen to do, that provides the parking right on Federal. That I think that would be nice, slowing down traffic, and that's why I think it's key activating that parcel, that portion.
And I'll just add, we keep moving along with that. We're getting ready to do an application to bring the design further for the roundabout there and the narrowing of Federal Street as well.
Great. I think that would be very helpful in this project. And I'll say I voted against the first one because it didn't have commercial on the first floor, so it's good to see some commercial on the first floor of this one.
We heard you.
Good, thank you. And certainly lots of work to do on the numbers here. Yes. Looks like you have significant income generation capacity. So I don't want to see something too generous, but I'll leave that to Steve to negotiate.
Right.
Great. Thanks, Anasha.
Thank you.
Albert, you're unmuted. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I got one. What's the what rate of occupancy are you at with your current project?
We're at 92% currently.
Okay.
When did you open?
And we opened up in July 1st.
Oh, okay.
2020, yes.
And I saw your budget for this project. You paid $2.1 million for the land.
By the time we've the raw cost of the land and all the approvals and all that stuff, that'll be about 2.1 million. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Great. Anyone else have any questions? I don't see anybody else unmuted.
Yeah, Justin, this is
Oh.
Josh.
Yep, there you go, Josh.
Hey, Cosmo, how are you?
Good, good. How about yourself?
Doing well. So what's the impact if you don't get a pilot? What does that mean for the for the project?
Right. So even though you think that these projects have great rentals, right? There's some big risk associated. You know, right off the top, by adding another component of parking, it increased the cost of the project. You see, the first one actually geometrically, footprint-wise, is a larger project than the second one. And there's more, even though there's more units to the first one. So, I mean, a jump of 3.5 million, and that's tight. You know, that's almost 4 million is tight. So, so we're getting about the same rent, and we hopped the project up by $4 million in costs. Now, it does. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't make sense for us, because, you know, we're trying to do some economies of scale with the management. But even so, you know, in order to provide that community that I was telling you about, you need another like leasing coordinator. You need another management person in terms of maintenance and mechanic, and then we have somebody that does just events, right? For the community. So once you start throwing in $280,000 worth of taxes, the return to the investments just doesn't work. You know,
Yeah.
The equity returns, and the problem with the banks now, you know, they want to see, you know, we put in our application $4 million in equity and $12 million loan.
Yeah.
It could change, you know, and what happens once the equity goes up, the internal rate of return goes down, right? So if we don't have that pilot, you know, what we could try to do is just, you know, pause it for now. And also the lumber prices, as everybody knows, have skyrocketed, right? Which is not a bad idea, maybe to pause as well, you know, especially if we don't get this. Okay. We still think long term we may be able to do something, but just based on economics, maybe the rents will get a little bit higher. I don't see them ever, you know, I don't see them getting higher than what it is now, but who knows? You know, the guy across the river there, his rents are, God bless him, you know. So
okay.
So
just one other question. What is the projected ROI? When do you guys see how many years to break even on this project before you start making a profit?
Yeah. So if we don't have if we don't have the pilot, you know, we start off in the negative for a long time, probably, you know, 10, 15 years. Okay. If we have the pilot, then, you know, your normal, you know, 3 years, 4 years, and then we start catching up with some positive cash on cash.
Okay. Great. Thanks for the information. Appreciate it.
You got it.
Thanks, Josh. I don't see anybody else unmuted. Is there any other questions for Cosmo and his team?
Chair.
Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
I'm just looking through the paperwork here. This pilot is for how many years?
We don't have that yet. This hasn't been negotiated. That's what we will do between now and the next meeting.
I would like to see that kept to a number that's reasonable for the residents and taxpayers of Troy. And I know pilots are necessary for the projects, but I really want to make sure that we're focused on both entities here, so we can make Cosmo's business a success, and we can keep the taxpayers in line too, and keep them on the page happily.
Okay.
Noted. Any other questions?
I got one question. Are you getting those rents with your current project?
Yes.
You are?
Mm-hmm. Now, the unit types that we have in those projects that are similar to the phase 2 projects, we're getting those rents. We have some 4 bedrooms on the current project, and that obviously are getting a little bit less, right? So, I mean, we don't have, not a little bit less, but we don't have 4 bedrooms on the second phase of the project. So, you know, so it's a 2-bed, a comparable rental. We haven't even provided any type of inflation costs for those rents between the second and the first are pretty they're comparable. So with no inflation. So we're getting the same, you know. And we think our units on the second phase are a little bit, there's a little bit more fenestration on the second phase, we believe, in some of our units, which always is good. We also believe that some of our units on the second phase allow for a little bit more living area, just a little bit more, a couple of feet, and bedrooms have increased by a foot in each bedroom. Okay. And there's more parity with bathrooms because, again, we feel that with this COVID, people want to have their own bathrooms, especially young professionals if they're teaming together. And market rate doesn't really matter because a family is a family, but young professionals having that parity in the bathroom is key. Having more parking is key. So yeah, so it's comparable, and we hope that there's a little uptick on the second phase.
And do you have a tenant for the commercial area, or how many units are you going to have with the commercial, or is that to be determined by whoever wants the space?
Yeah, that will be determined. You know, we don't have a tenant now. No.
Yeah. So as far as the size of the units, you don't really know that until you get.
I mean, it's 2,100 square feet, right? So usually, if we're going to put in a restaurant, we're probably going to have 1 tenant. Okay. If you're going to put in like your local, you know, coffee shop, then you have 2 tenants. You know.
Right.
There's some folks, yeah, there's some good eateries in town. Some folks have come up to me are interested, but nothing. I think it's all talk now. It's nothing. You know, nobody's really engaged us yet. So, and we really haven't put it out there just yet as well.
All right.
All right. I think that's it for questions.
Great. Really appreciate the opportunity, folks. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. And we'll talk next month, hopefully.
Sounds good. Thanks, Cosmo. You too.
Take care.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution for King's Landing 2?
I'll make the motion.
Stephanie? Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Anasha seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Sounds like the resolution was passed there. Great. All right. Wow, that was a lot. That was a long one. So we'll move on to Steve, and the next item on the agenda is the director's report. Anything to update, Steve?
Just last month we funded the betterment for the industrial road. We haven't started that yet. I'm still waiting for the contract with CDM Smith to fund the water line development for the industrial road. A few weeks back, board members Farrell and Watson went with me to Cohoes to look at the Lionheart Manor site, which is one of the projects owned by Regan Development, which will be back next month for the standard manufacturing development. And it was that's an affordable 60% of area median income housing project. And I was very impressed with it. It's, they do a good job managing the property. managing their tenants. And I don't know if Albert or Sue want to chime in on any thoughts on that, but I was very impressed with the operation there.
I agree. I thought it was very impressive. They're very well done. And the way they look, the way they're kept. Yeah, I was very impressed.
Albert, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah, I thought it was a well-managed property. I mean, construction looked good. Yeah, tenants seemed happy. So yeah, I didn't see any problems or anything. Well, the
Great.
tenants we saw seemed happy. So yeah, so but it looked like a well-managed property though.
And that's it for the executive director's report. Oops.
Great. Mary Ellen, do you want to discuss the financials?
Sure. The first report is the statement of financial position. As of 10/31, our total assets are at 457,000, with 281,000 of those assets in cash. Our liabilities are $13,442, leaving us with a fund balance of $443,867. There are no real changes to the statement of financial position. Next report is the statement of activity for the month of October. For the month, we have a surplus of $1,380. The only source of revenue was an application and admin fee from Kings 2. The largest expense is for accounting. This is a normal monthly amount, and there were no out of the ordinary expenses.
Steve, you're sharing your email box right now.
Oh, well, somebody just called me. Sorry about that. Really? All right, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Mary Ellen? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the financials?
Motion.
Jim, do
I'll,
we have a second?
I'll second, Sue.
Sue? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. Thanks, Mary Ellen. Steve, is there any old or new business you'd like to discuss?
Yes, old business, just that the Poston Kill place that we did not approve, even the initial resolution. They have submitted a revised application to me, which I have not reviewed yet. I just wanted everybody to know that's in my inbox, so I'm looking at that. For new business, I spoke with most people about this, and then I sent around a resolution this morning. We have down at the King Fuel site, which is owned by the LDC, an opportunity for some potential tenants there that would like to be able to use reuse the docks that are there and haven't been used for a while. And I need to do some investigation on them with some LiDAR mapping. I'd like to get that done this year at a cost of $9,500. I spoke with Justin yesterday, and what he recommended we do is we create a waterfront, it's a South Troy waterfront redevelopment initiative to be able to fund this or other things as they come up. So I had talked to most of the board members yesterday about requesting $9,500. What he did instead was we created a resolution, which you received this morning. And I'm trying to do two things at once and bring it up, but it basically creates this project area. It's $20,000, of which we're approving $9,500 to be used to do it's basically the LiDAR mapping. It's basically a boat doing radar underwater, looking at the foundations of the existing docks that are there. And then the additional money we may need in the future, but we will need it in the future. And at that point, I will come back to the board. And again, we have lots of redevelopment initiatives going on in South Troy, all the way, from anywhere from the posting hill down south and even a little bit north of that. So this creates the project, authorizes the spending for the mapping for the docks, and then it basically creates the project. So that's the first piece of new business. So there's a resolution, which I think everybody got this morning. Justin, do you need to walk anything through that? Justin Miller, anything that I left out?
I think you explained it perfectly. It just it authorizes an initiative and an account of the IDA to facilitate study and an investigation for not only the King Fuel site, but anything down in that general area in South Troy, which has a lot of activity all the way from where folks are familiar with the salt pile through Valenti, Scolite, and all the way down to King Fuels. It's an area that dynamically will be redeveloped in the years to come. So this is kind of a first step for the IDA to kind of help with to study and figure out where industrial stuff can go, can stay, can be moved. And this is kind of the first step.
And I'm sharing that with you now. So on the right side of the screen, section 2 establishes the project with an initial budget of 20,000, and section 3 authorizes the expenditure of 9,500 with H2H geoscience engineering. And there's a scope of work that's attached. I don't know if it's on here, but a scope of work associated with that. That's for the engagement. And the rest is just legalese. Sorry, Justin. Go.
No offense taken.
All right. So,
Great.
yeah.
Are there any questions for Steve regarding this request? Or Justin? All right. Do we have a motion to approve the request of $9,500 to begin, it's the first step to understand better of that area, the grid?
So actually, it'd probably be a motion to approve the resolution.
And sorry, I did actually have one question.
Yeah, no, sure.
I just noticed that one of the assumptions is that they are not a surveyor. I assume we don't need a licensed survey.
This is in water work. So,
yeah.
This will basically show what everything looks like, show the
no, I mean, it sounds like they have equipment we need. They're local. It seems good. I just wanted to make sure there's not a reason we're going to need a licensed survey.
I imagine that at some point in the future, based on what we find, there's going to have to be somebody going in the water actually investigating these structures to see what's needed.
Okay.
I have no idea where, and I don't even know the middle structures are wood. And then there's 2 concrete piers on the right. I don't even know what that wood goes into. If there's concrete down there, if it's.
So if a survey is done, this data will be helpful in directing where that survey gets done.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for Steve or Justin? All right, so let me start this over then. So then, is there a motion to approve this resolution for the Kings Fuel redevelopment waterfront project?
Motion.
Jim? Is there a
I'll
second?
Stephanie, second.
Stephanie? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Resolution passes.
And the second item is Dylan Turek and I are getting extremely busy with a lot of projects. He's purchased a software project management, Asana, and I don't think that I'd like to basically take over the payment of that, which is $400 per year. And it really helps us prioritize and manage the projects we're working on. So I think I'm just informing you that I'm going to do this $400. I'm saying 400. I think it's only 300, but up to 400 expenditure for Asana ASANA project management. And that's it for my new business and for the meeting as I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I should say one thing before we go into the next meeting. I just want to give kudos out to Rich Nolan, who is on the board, who has works at Valen Ventures. He is purchasing a house outside of the city, and he's on the meeting today, but he's going to have to resign his post before the December meeting. So I just wanted to say to Rich, thanks for everything and good luck, and we will see you around. And that's it.
Thanks, Rich. Congratulations. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn today's IDA meeting?
Motion.
Josh, do we have a second?
Second.
And don't anybody leave because we still got a CRC meeting.
All right. All in favor to
Aye.
adjourn? Aye. All right. IDA meeting is adjourned. All right. Might need a break for that. Jeez.
This will be quicker.
All right. Let's jump into the CRC meeting. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the October 23rd board meeting.
And same note, correction to Josh's name on that.
Great. So with that amendment to the minutes, correcting of the name spelling, do we have a motion to approve the October 23rd CRC board meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion, Sue.
So do we have a second?
Second.
Jim, great. Any opposed? All in favor? Aye. All right, moving on to item number 2 then. It's the Riverwalk Trail resolution.
Okay.
Steve?
Thank you. So I spoke to most people about that. We do have lots of great projects going on in the city right now, and one of which has been the creation of this riverfront trail. If anybody's had the opportunity to walk on it, it's really great. It goes behind the dinosaur barbecue building now. It's a great asset, and while it does continue along the river up to the Flanagan building right now behind the hotel, we have a permanent easement through the a temporary easement through the parking lot and a permanent easement along the riverfront in an area where we really can't build the trail. As part of a study that's been underway by the city, there is a proposal to create a continued esplanade there behind the hotel along the riverfront. We have a conceptual design, but in order to move it forward, we need to do some work on that site. So there's a resolution before you creating a $50,000 authorization for the Riverwalk Trail project. There are 3 pieces to it. 2 of them relate to this site next door. So the first one is $6,500 to do some drilling to find out where the bedrock is on this site. And when that's done, which we'd like to do next Monday if this is approved today, I want to get it done before the winter kicks in. That allows Chase and our contractor to develop bid specs to be able to then we can go out and have construction documents created for this. And then that part 2 is the payment for the construction documents. And when that's done, we can bid out for next year to find out how much this is going to cost to build. So the city has about $800,000. 400,000 of it is in a grant that is expiring December. So I'd like to keep this project moving forward. The other piece of this is for the Congress Street Bridge study. So we have a lot of things going on Congress and Ferry Street, but if you know, in the comprehensive plan, it recommends getting rid of the ramps by the Taylor Apartments. And we have a developer there getting ready to redevelop the Taylor Apartments. And as part of that project, we engaged CDTA to look at potentially putting a bus rapid transit location there. They have been doing some engineering work for us to find out so that we can move that project forward, removing the ramps and making that a cross intersection again. But they are running out of funding, and I'd like to put $15,000 towards that so that we continue that. We can move up the speed with which we can go for money to make that reconfiguration occur. And how that relates to the Riverwalk Trail is that when that is done, Front Street underneath the Congress Street Bridge by Taylor's Apartments will cease to exist. And that will become a continued riverfront esplanade with green space down there. So these, I think, are really important expenditures that the city doesn't have the funding in place for right now that can help move two really good economic development projects forward, the Riverwalk Trail, and as part of it, this recreation of the Congress Street Bridge intersection. Initially, we would spend the $6,500 for the drilling and the $15,000 for the Congress Street Bridge, and then at a later date, we would spend for the construction documents. So I don't know if people have questions for me. That's a lot to swallow.
Anybody have any questions for Steve right now? Good. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion?
Nasha made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second. Albert.
Albert. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Resolution passes. Moving on to the next item, Steve, the waterfront farmers market.
Right. So this is, I know I'm asking for a lot of money the last couple meetings, but I think these are really important projects. This one, as everybody knows, the water with COVID right now, the riverfront, the Troy Waterfront Farmers Market cannot operate. I don't know if everybody knows this, but cannot operate in the atrium this year because of distancing. And so what they're looking to do is relocate this winter into the vacant price chopper up in Lansingburg, and they've requested $10,000 to help with some fit up costs as well as some marketing. And I'll hand it over to Steve Riddler in a minute. But I think this is really important. It does a lot of things. First, it looks at, the opportunities up in Lansingburg to maybe have some type of farmers market there in the future. But it also provides funding for this vital market, which really is so important to our downtown businesses and Troy's image. It's a destination. And I really think with COVID, the fact that they've had some reduced incomes and need some support to relocate, that this would be a great expenditure, great grant for us to give funding to the farmers market. So with that, Steve, are you on? I don't see your name there.
Yep, I'm here.
Do you have anything you want to add?
No, and I think that you summed it up pretty well. I mean, we've had a challenge with the COVID and pandemic from the start when we were closed down in the atrium in March, and have opened with the city and county cooperation in Russell Sage, and expanded into the Riverfront Park, where we've operated quite successfully as an essential business, which has been bringing people to downtown. Unfortunately, as we move into winter, we're going to have to leave downtown for a short period of time, and the Lansingburg opportunity is actually quite exciting for us in terms of looking to see if we can create some sort of satellite there long term. Working with the price chopper, we have to do a lot of initial preparation and tidying up, lots of small stuff, but our budget is pretty tight right now, so any help that we could get is going to really help us. And it might even result in our ability to actually take on the CVS or Rite Aid that's next door to it too, and have even more vendors up there. So we're hopeful as we move forward to sort of get a really good little hub going there this winter. So yeah, I mean, it's been a struggle to keep going, but this will position us well to return to downtown in a good financial situation rather than really tight. So it'd be very, very helpful.
Great. Thanks, Steve. Any questions regarding this funding request for the farmers market?
Chair?
Yes, Jim.
I don't have any questions, but Steve, I want to say I'm excited to see the farmers market come to Lansingburg. I have been chewing on Monica's ear to get a farmer's market up here during the week at the 112th Street Park at night or somewhere in our area to serve the residents of Lansingburg. And I think that once you get in that spot and you start to realize the capabilities and expandabilities of your program also in the summer, you might want to run 2 venues because it's just going to be a great spot in the future. And provided that you can get these small fixes done and be happy up there, I think that you might want to say this is a great location for your program. And again, I'm excited to see you come north.
That's great. Yeah, no, we're excited. And I think this is actually going to be helpful to the city too, because it's going to give you some really good ideas of what other things can happen on that former Price Chopper site.
Yeah,
Well,
I just have to agree with Jim on that. Absolutely.
I have one question. How do your vendors feel about the move?
The vendors are very happy to be able to continue to have a place to vend over the winter. I think they were fearful that, with the issues at the atrium, which are, really come down to social distancing and access and flow. They were just a little worried that we might not be able to pull anything off. So I think they're excited. They've always been interested in the board itself has always been interested in trying to get up into the Lansingburg area. So I think this is actually a good opportunity, and I think everyone's going to be really cooperative up there.
Okay.
Great. Is there a motion to approve the funding request for the Winters Farmers Market?
Motion.
Second.
Jim, Susan, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate all your work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Thank you. Other Steve, is there any, oh, I'm sorry, skipped one. Yeah, no, the next time on the agenda is the executive director's report.
Just, thanks. Just an update that Franklin Alley, there was a ribbon cutting the first Friday of November or first Thursday of November. It looks gorgeous. If you haven't been down there to look at it, please walk through it. The artwork looks great. The art center had a opening the next night with a dinner and the artist, and it really is just a great asset. And I can't wait to start using it for gathering spaces sometime next summer, although it's already been used a little bit for different events. That's it for the executive director's report, and I also have no new business or old business when that comes.
Okay. All right. Mary Ellen, financials.
The first report is a statement of financial position. As of 10/31, our total assets are $579,493. All of those assets are in cash, and the fund balance is $579,493. No real changes to the statement of financial position. The next statement is the statement of activities versus the budget. And for the month of October, we have a $222 deficit. The only source of revenue was interest, and the largest expense was for accounting fees. No out of the ordinary expenses.
Great. Anyone have any questions for Mary Ellen regarding the financials? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the financials?
Motion.
Anasha, motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Josh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thanks, Mary Ellen. Steve, you said there's no new or old business. So if there's no further discussion regarding any of the items on the agenda, I'll make a motion to adjourn the CRC meeting today. Everybody's muted. I didn't, maybe a hand rose. Anasha, okay. Anasha made the motion. I think Albert raised his hand. Maybe I'll give him a second. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. This meeting is officially adjourned.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. I guess, yeah, we won't have a meeting next week, so have a good Thanksgiving, good
Yeah.
weekend.